Hello, clever agents. It's Jake Wolf coming to you live today to talk about all things geofencing. And I've got my main man, our KlevrLeads intelligence manager from the network, Paul. Paul, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
You know, when I asked Greg McDaniel to say hello, he says, "Say hello," or "Hello, Greg." He's funny. But anyways, guys, today I wanted to go ahead and come to you. I know a lot of you guys are very, very curious, interested about geofencing, especially some of you new agents. But we're going to get down and dirty today. We're going to talk technicals. We're going to talk different things that we do inside the network. Obviously, the business strategy, how it's incorporated and implemented into your Klever system, and then the use cases, right? So we're going to expand your mind here a little bit because right now, a lot of you guys are deploying farming type strategies where we are choosing a select group, an audience, and then obviously you guys are putting 100,000, 200,000 or more impressions into every single smart device into that audience that we've predefined. But there's a lot of other cool creative things that we can do from a search side, demand side of the platform, outside of just geofencing. So I guess today, Paul, I wanted to go ahead and introduce you to everybody here so that they can kind of see that we've got, a whole team on the intelligence side inside the network, and we can just kind of explore different strategies, different things that we do. So anyways, yeah. So for all of the people who don't know the specifics yet about what we do from a geofencing standpoint, and for all of the people that are going to watch this video that are going to be coming into our private Facebook group, let's just go ahead and start. So, Paul, I want to talk about what happens when we take addresses and then load them up into the network. So let's go ahead and talk about a farming strategy with, let's say, 500 homes or a group of 700 homes. So what happens when our clever agents send us the addresses? What do we do?
Right. Well, first, Jake, before I go into that, what I'd like to state is that the platform that we're leveraging is actually one that has massive strength. It's actually one that big, multi-location Fortune 500 companies are using. Yeah. So what we're doing here is we're actually able to basically stitch together the power of each and every agent that's in KlevrLeads that can actually pull together and equal that strength of the large corporations. And so they're leveraging some of the best tools that are actually out there in the marketplace. One of those top tools is actually what you mentioned, is in location-based targeting to the household level. Very unique. It's actually very cutting edge. And what is being done here is that our platform is actually able to identify through public information the registered plat lines of properties in the United States. And through that recognition, what we're doing is we're actually going through and building custom digital fences around each house. Once we recognize that address, we could then identify that house, turn it on, and then do an individual house-to-house campaign. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, we're getting addresses that from various sources, implementing them into the system, and matching them at a high rate. And what we're then able to do is, through matching various aspects of cross-device technology, we're able to deliver things such as campaigns on browsers. We're able to do things on mobile devices. We're able to do things, video pre-roll on, say, CNN.com or some other site that may be leveraging pre-roll, and we're able to even get onto connected televisions if that's the direction that people want to go. So we can get these agents on the big screen if that's where they want to go. But the whole notion is that these are specific to the household's addresses that they're actually providing.
Yep. So when we actually go ahead and load up an address into the network, it then matches a parcel to the actual address. And then we are identifying any unique IDs of smart devices, in essence, inside of the actual home. And then what happens? How do we place these advertisements in the most efficient way inside of the house on those actual smart devices?
Right.
So what happens?
Right. So the first thing is targeting, which is what you're talking about, is identifying the household based on the address, targeting to that address via geofencing, right, and building and recognizing that we want to deliver a campaign to that house. The targeting aspect is done through that capacity. Now, then it's a matter of how do we actually reach them via the media, all the websites, all the apps, all the environments. And what we've done is our platform is actually neutral to where we have connections to many of the top media exchanges. So all of the digital media that you're actually seeing out there, a great majority of it is actually sold very much like the stock exchange. And the sellers or the publishers of these websites or video content, they want to monetize their sites. And so what they do is they open that up to these exchanges to sell. Well, it's platforms like the one that we're leveraging that actually can then access that inventory, look at the information that's coming through in every single opportunity for an advertisement, whether it be location, time of day, device, video, display, amongst other information. And in essence, over 1,000 bits of information. We make that decision. We decide, okay, well, this is the opportunity that we want to bid on. And we're actually bidding on that in real time, dynamically, using a lot of machine learning and AI in the background to make sure that when we're delivering that ad, it's to the right person, the right place, the right time, on the right device.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that's fantastic. So guys, we talk about all the time utilizing our marketing and the tools, the technology, and the communication capabilities that we have to go ahead and intentionally go ahead and put our messages on target, strategic to our prospective customers by way of us knowing maybe an audience that might be inside of an identifiable group or a strategic farm, things along those lines. So guys, what's nice here is that we now have the ability to go ahead and bring this tool of value and this big Fortune 500 display network and have the same capabilities as the Fords, the Chevys, the big Coca-Colas, all of the large franchises, because it just costs so much money to go ahead and have a seat at the table month over month, and individuals or small businesses for that matter can't go ahead and get to that $40,000-$50,000 a month level to just even maintain inside of a network of this kind of a power. So, but we at KlevrLeads now can go ahead and not only tap into the actual network, we can also start creating the strategies from a real estate sector in an advanced mindset in order to go ahead and be strategic and impactful. So as you all know, I always talk about air, land, and sea approach. All of these different types of tools we have collectively working together as one make for an extremely powerful type situation. So we intentionally will go ahead and pull in audiences. So guys, when I'm talking about when you're pulling a list of expireds, all of those expired homes have an address. You're pulling a list of for sale by owners. They all have an address. Okay. So anything addressable, we can go ahead and start directly targeting. We can target the address, match the parcel, and then start serving all of the smart devices underneath the roof, right? If it's a matched group. And then the machine learning and AI of the network is real-time buying the most relevant spots for your advertisements to be placed in front of those people on their devices where they're actually going. So if those devices, all things that we do digitally leave a trail. So if all of a sudden you're coming in and one of the unique device IDs inside of the house is frequently hanging out on ESPN.com, the system is intentionally real-time buying placements to then go ahead and put in front of that unique device ID intentionally, because that's where they are at the time. So that's the power of this, guys. And, you know, as we talk about tracking pixels and things like that, we can put so many impressions into an audience that, you think about this from a psychology standpoint. If all of a sudden you're on ESPN and you kind of see something hanging off on the side, and then all of a sudden you're somewhere else and you see that same kind of an impression with the same kind of thing, and then you're somewhere else, and then maybe you saw it on your cell phone, but now you're on your computer, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, what in the world is going on? That advertisement is following me around everywhere I go, and I've seen it probably 15 or 20 times now in the last week. What in the world is going on? A lot of times, by just curiosity of putting so much in front of people on a frequency level, has these folks go in and clicking. And then what happens when they click, everybody? They hit our landing page. We're sitting there with pixels. So now all of a sudden we have them trapped inside of a pixel to where we're able to go ahead and retarget on other places like Facebook, social. And then now they're going, oh my gosh, now I'm seeing this realtor on Facebook. What in the world is going on? But it's about the farming game is about impressions into an audience. It's about being omnipresent with your brand, right? So that when, and over time, you just have an audience that you're consistently serving and putting brand awareness videos in front of them once a week, sending them out to Facebook, changing out your videos for any of your display advertisement inside of your geofencing farms. Now all of a sudden they're seeing a different message. You're able to get hyper local and things like that. So Paul, that's the ability to target consumers inside of an identifiable audience is extremely powerful. And, guys, when we're talking about cost, we're in this $1.50 to $2 a door range. And to go ahead and load those kind of impressions into those audiences is pretty powerful. And I've given some of you guys some use cases here before. Greg McDaniel specifically targeted a group of over like 1,400 homes. And we know that we drove over 800 of those people that clicked through to the actual landing page. Then now our pixel, that now can be retargeted. So we can focus on one area at one time with a budget to go ahead and drive traffic, to go ahead and trap them in a pixel. And then if anybody converts, obviously those people are more intentional. But we talk about intent all the time. And everybody that's been hanging out with me and going through some of the softwares and some of the initial launches I do for you, when we load 2,000 confirmed homeowners into your KlevrLeads account, and all we know about these people is that they're in a demographic audience. We know their names, their cell phone numbers, their email addresses, their addresses. So we start doing an initial outreach to go ahead and kick the bushes, to go ahead and identify any immediate intent, and then try to shift these people into a permission-given audience. And at that point, then we nurture and nurture and nurture. And we all know, guys, in real estate, especially from a seller side, and to be honest with you, even buyer side, you don't know if the people that we're targeting have any intent at all whatsoever on moving in the next 2 months, 8 months, 5 years. We don't. But the game in real estate is to enhance the law of averages, to go ahead and cast the widest net over your community so that you're omnipresent with your brand, so that when those people need to do something real estate wise, you're first, top of mind, and you've also given them an easy way to contact you in those moments. So anyways, so this is impression, this is farming. Let's talk about search.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, so here's another side of what we do is we can also set traps. So inside of the DMA, inside of the zip code, inside of a city area, we can go ahead and load up a bunch of keywords, search terms, websites, competition. So if somebody somewhere inside this network goes ahead and is on a website that might be related to the actual network and starts searching and things along those lines, why don't you go ahead and break that down for us, Paul?
Well, I think you really summarized the data used in targeting people at the household level. That is one data source that we actually have and one means of targeting. Very, very similar to like how you might do direct mail as well. That's you're kind of doing that household level. Well, when you have to put yourself into the shoes of the actual home buyer, right? Or the home seller for that matter. When they are online, as we all know, you can go down basically a wormhole of activity when you're online. You never really quite know where you're going, what you're doing. It's kind of like very organic in its approach as a user, putting your user hat on. Well, in that activity that they're doing, they're sending signals, to people like us, like our platform, and the signals come through in the history, which says that I'm looking for home equity loans, or I'm looking for refinancing, or I'm looking for a new job, or I have kids that are going to college, or there could be a plethora of things that you may be looking at, like schools in your area, whatever it may be. All of these things are signals beyond the obvious signal, which is, hey, I went to Zillow and looked at my home price. That's a pretty obvious signal. Or I went to Redfin. Those are obvious signals. But it's the subtle ones that are actually the powerful ones, which really kind of pulls out the value of intent-based targeting when you're looking for what people are doing online. Now, I should let people know that when we're doing this intent-based targeting, we don't know the actual individual, right? All we know is a device and a cookie. It has nothing to do with the individual. So it adheres with all the privacy rules and all that type of stuff that's out there. So does the addressable stuff that we talked about. But when we're talking about targeting people online through the behaviors, we have two ways of doing this. One is through what people are doing as far as searching. Like, let's say you're on a website and the integrated search box is there and you search a term. Well, that information comes to us and we can target off of that. Mm-hmm. As well as we actually have the ability through a deployed bot to actually say, okay, well, these words are in context of what they're reading. And we can target on that as well. So both of these keyword approaches to behavioral intent are extremely strong when we're talking about targeting people online, because what you're talking about is you're talking about forward-looking activities where people are maybe in the early stages of opening their mindset to selling, opening their mindset to buying. I mean, they're pretty much interlocked, right? If somebody, like in my neighborhood, they may be looking at a refinance rate, and they may be looking at what their home value is for refinance. By doing their research, they may see that there is an available property that only is about $100,000 more than what their actually current property is worth. Well, that might open up in their minds, man, maybe we should move to that neighborhood that we want to move to. All these things, all these mental actions actually replicate themselves when they're online. People just don't realize that that's what actually occurs when you're online, right? So it's an interesting exercise to audit what you as an individual do when you're online to kind of see if, what habits you're building. But I mean, I think that from the devices, the time of day, the websites, all those things actually come into play when we're actually identifying these people through a behavioral intent kind of approach, which you mentioned on the keyword search basis.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and load short-term type search keywords that might be relevant to real estate, right? Or be triggers that might be real estate move centric. But we also can target people who are searching to go towards websites such as Zillow.com, Redfin, your competition.
We treat those domains, so those URLs, as a keyword.
Yeah.
And just like not only the websites and the behavioral activity that they're doing online that we talked about, it could be their competitors. It could be local home builders and the names of those home builders, the names of neighborhoods, all these things, the names of schools in your area. All these things are relevant keywords to that home buyer.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Chris Manka actually jumped in here. He went and asked, as an agent, can we geofence our competitors, maybe open houses, comparable listings, target prospective buyers that enter an area within my specific advertising or listing? So those are some questions that are coming back from our audience.
It sounds like this is hungry for geofencing, and the answer to all of his questions there is yes. Geofencing is outside of the addressable, which is based on a specific address that's provided. Our geofencing capability also has the ability to go and build custom geofences around any location. If you can find it in Google Maps, we can geofence it. So that's the key thing. So there's different strategies that you can apply to geofencing. One of those is actually related to competitive conquesting. If somebody is going into one location who's your competitor, well, if you want to market to those people, put a target fence around them and capture those devices. Same thing as if you're doing, like, if there's a big open house, you can do that. If you have a development that is in your area and you want to target those people, do that. If you have a big employer that is in your area and you want to promote home sales to employers of that or employees of that employer, you can put a geofence around that employer's location. What we're doing is we're capturing devices to target, and we actually have the ability to target based on recency So we could say that somebody is actually going to be, that has actually been in that area within 30 minutes or 15 minutes, or they have actually been there within 15 days, 30 days, within an hour. We can actually target based on that type of recency. Yeah. So those type of things are extremely important to think about when you're actually looking to target these people, because that recency is really huge when it comes to home buyers. If you're targeting, say, an employer, those people may not be right in the moment, right then and there. Right, that's low-hanging fruit if you capture those people that are right then and there at the moment. But there may be people that are 2 weeks out, 30 days out, that you can build that recency and still market to them up to 30 days.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me throw something else out here, Paul. That's that we're going to discuss. Obviously, as you know, the KlevrLeads family is going to be building custom websites for all of our Clever agents that they can take advantage of. Now, a lot of the other, from what we've seen, a lot of the other websites that are out there might be just some canned junk that comes with some of their software system that doesn't have good capabilities for us to go ahead and track and pixel and do things. Other people have out-of-the-box stuff. It's real sloppy and kind of closed off. And guys, what we're getting ready to do is offer you the opportunity to have a custom website built by us here at KlevrLeads, to where your contact form submission dumps right into your KlevrLeads account. Also, if you're actually building a website with us, we're hosting on your domain, and then we can link any of your landing pages that you guys are building inside of KlevrLeads as a subdomain on your domain. So while we're driving traffic from display and geofencing, and they're landing on some of your landing pages that are getting pixeled, what we also do is give an easy way now for them to go ahead and come back to your main core site. All right. And it's a good transition back and forth, instead of just getting pixeled and having to go through a contact form to go ahead and opt in. They can go ahead and come back and see additional information about you guys from your website. Now, these custom websites that we're building, we knew that we had to intentionally bring them out because I'm an advanced marketer and I understand tracking and pixels and everything else like that. You guys see websites completely different than Jake Wolf and Paul and Joe and everybody else does. We need a platform to be a functioned marketing machine and tool that gives us all of the capabilities to go ahead and retarget, pixel, track, and everything else like that, so we can constantly keep people in our ecosystem. So with that being said, guys, and I'm going to be telling everybody about the actual websites. We're going to be showing you some core templates that we've built, custom bootstrapped up, that then you can go ahead and insert your brand and everything else into. However, let's talk about view through, Paul. And let's explain to everybody what that view through tracking can do. So let's drive somebody to our website. Let's talk about view through. Go for it.
Well, first to jump into view through, which is kind of somewhat of a advanced term in our world. For some, we first have to talk about the click through. Right? Everybody knows that you receive a piece of ad creative, you can click on that. Well, that's true, but a majority of people that are actually online don't click on banners. And so the actual all the way to the completion of a lead on a click is somewhat unrealistic. Some people will click, but a majority don't. What they do is the value of advertising, right? Which is they are impacted by that value. And what happens is that they absorb that, they go on to the normal day of activity. And then what they're going to do is they're going to go on to a search engine or just into a browser and type in the name that they saw. And what they do then is they do the search, they click on it, or they type it into the browser and then click on it, and they move on to back to the website. Now, that website activity that they just did, because they saw an ad first, and because we have a pixel down, it actually tracks that we delivered them an ad. They didn't click. They went on and did something. Then later on, they came back into the website after seeing that ad. That is called view through. And there's huge power to that. That's actually the power of advertising, which is to persuade, motivate, right? You know, the challenging thing with digital is that we've all become really sensitive to the immediacy of what you can get. right? And so the whole power of advertising, the residual power of people seeing a message and then being affected by it and then acting later. We've somewhat went to the extreme of that, which is I just care about somebody clicking on my ad and going through the funnel, which is somewhat unrealistic. Yeah. You need both. And that's where, to have a healthy campaign, you have a combination of the capabilities of measuring a click-through capability as well as a view-through capability. And that brings a realistic picture of a campaign.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And we do that by making sure that like these custom websites are set up, like your core foundational cornerstones of your online business infrastructure is meaningful and purposeful, so that when you guys actually do start deciding to put your advertising dollars to work, we know that our game is intentional. We have a good follow through. We have ways to continually persuade and motivate your audiences so that you are the most omnipresent real estate agent and your brand is healthy and you've got the tools and capabilities to deliver to consumer. So anyways, fantastic.
That's right.
I want to bring up a buyer side type campaign, guys. So when we talk addressable and you're targeting farm audiences, or you're pulling down expireds, FSBOs, for rent by owners and all this kind of stuff. Actually, a for rent by owner type campaign would work towards this. So if you have a list of rental homes coming off of a for rent by owner kind of thing, obviously you can start targeting. Not only can we, just like we spoke about the other day, start to communicate to for rent by owners to get those primary owners inside of your ecosystem, but then we can target their renters to go ahead and motivate them to possibly purchase a home. So, putting down payment assistance programs in front of these people, credit repair programs, consultations with you, and things along those lines. But when we talk buyers, you guys can go ahead and load up apartment complexes and large residential lease areas and things like that. We have an agent out of Chicago that's getting ready to, and Paul, you know about this. We're getting ready to geofence all of the downtown Chicago skyrise residential leasing complexes. So we're going to lay a geofence around all of these 20 different large buildings, because there's a lot of a turnover year over year because of various different incentives and amenities for some of the millennial type renters in the downtown Chicago area. But when we lay a fence around that large apartment complex with 500 units in it, we are able to suck in all of the device IDs inside that complex completely and then start displaying advertisements to them. So pretty powerful type stuff. Anyways, why don't you expand a little bit on a buy side for everybody, Paul?
So the one thing that's strong about our offering here is that it's about localization. If you aren't able to do things at a micro level like we're able to do, you can't do what we're offering here. So not every technology platform can do this. Well, what we're actually able to do, whether it's behavioral or through addressable geofencing, we're actually able to segment out campaigns, right? One of the strong parts is the addressable geofencing, because we could actually say house A, or let's say my house that I live on or live at, is a seller. I'm selling, for instance, but my neighbor may be perfectly in the mode to buy something. We can easily, with our technology, distinguish those two houses and deliver campaigns to those specific micro targeting elements. So basically one house away. So that's really strong. But when it comes to the buyer side element, just like on the seller side, you have to identify the characteristics of what's in their mindset, right? And it could be that you want to target their agents, right? Because there's represented agents that are out there. Well, you can target those agents because they're almost like the influencer, because that actual buyer may not know of a certain property. Or you could do what was mentioned, which was to target people that may not realize that they're capable of being in the market yet. For those people that may be paying a really high level of rent, but their credit rating may just be on the cusp. Well, you have the ability to target by credit rating, by household, by doing different types of levers that we have to pull. The apartment complex one is interesting, definitely. You have frequent movers that are interesting. Different ways of targeting that home buyer just similar to the seller, but it's putting a different hat on when you're determining what are the characteristics of that person.
Yeah. So guys, the network is smart, and our KlevrLeads dashboard that we have set up allows for us to go ahead and actually do some audience targeting. Now, this is another thing that I want to talk to you about. Yes, you can provide us a list of addresses that you want to go ahead and target specifically from the things that you know. However, if you wanted us to go ahead and start developing audiences, we can do things such as, I can say, Paul, Chris Manka wants to go ahead and target every single family home in his zip code that has a renter underneath the roof. Let's talk about that.
Easily done.
Yep.
One of our data sources allows us to actually pull that data and target those people at that address level. And like you mentioned, you can do it two ways. You can do the person that's actually the homeowner, or you can do it the way that you can kind of identify like a renter.
I love that you said that. So when we talk about this, when you run a buyer side campaign, now we don't have the ability to tell you who they are specifically or what specific address they are for privacy purposes. However, we know enough to know that we are literally putting advertisements into homes with known renters underneath the roofs, and we're talking single family.
Right.
Additionally, we can target the primary owner. So Paul, what happens if Chris wants to go ahead and target the primary owner that also owns multiple homes? Can we do that?
Oh, sure. Actually, one of the things that's really hot right now in the marketplace, it depends on your definition of hot, right? But there is a opportunity where those people that had those houses for rent through a rental organization like an Airbnb, VRBO, some of those people are sitting on too many properties and they want to get rid of them. So we actually have the ability to target those owners of multi-houses, right? We can target people that are owners of multi-houses. The first thing that you want to do is identify people that have multiple houses that are prone to be investment types, because there are those people that just have a second home, right? One at the beach or one in the mountains. So those may not be the right one, but you have the people that do own multiple houses as a portfolio because they see it as a money-making way through those rental services, right? Well, we can actually identify that because you can combine information, which is saying I want to target people that own multiple properties and are in the mindset of investors, right? Yeah. And you can combine and identify that universe of people to target. And I should let you know that the targeting that we're actually using, the data that we're using, comes from one of the 3 large credit bureaus. Yeah. So that's actually really, really reputable data that's updated on a quarterly basis that gives us that information pretty regularly. So it's very valuable.
Yeah, extremely valuable, guys. So I know that there's some groups out there, like some of these YouTube agent kind of guys, and they're asking real estate agents to go ahead and spend, I think, $10,000 to help you set up your YouTube kind of infrastructure and stuff like that, which YouTube obviously is a place that a lot of people are frequenting. So if you're putting out good videos on maybe cost of living in your area and various different things, yeah, that's your brand. And if they're searching for it and you have the ability for them to contact you, it might happen, especially if you start getting a lot of large stuff. And we're going to help you guys over here at KlevrLeads help optimize your YouTube type channel. But what we're talking about with our geofencing capabilities is, think about it like this. If you asked Jake and Paul to go ahead and put together a campaign for you that was all buyer side, literally in your whole zip code, we started targeting all of these different devices. We hit them with messages about you might be paying too much for your rent when you could purchase a home. We have down payment assistance programs to where possibly even all of your down payment is taken care of. Come consult with us. You're driving those people to your landing page. All right. Now, all of a sudden, they're pixeled, they're tracked. They've been on your website. We're doing view through capability and tracking in the network. We're also taking pixels and loading it up on Facebook. Now, what I'm talking to you about is when you have a YouTube channel and you have these things going out there, yeah, people are trafficking to it. However, we are literally putting your message in front of every single one of those people that have gotten tracked on your pixel whenever they're going into Facebook and looking at grandma's cookies, right? So it gives you an omnipresent brand push, but we are intentionally doing it. We are going out and intentionally pushing it out. We're not just kind of setting back traps on YouTube waiting. However, it is a good place for additional information for you to be resourceful. So anyways, what I'm trying to tell you guys is I wanted to get Paul here because we're always talking about the things that we can do. And I wanted to make sure that you guys had an opportunity to hear us talk about different things that were relative and pertinent to and expand your mind as far as what's available to you right now. So when you guys sit down and you talk about your monthly budget for doing your geofencing and advertising, you all know that this is not an out-of-the-box approach. So what I've told you all is that at the moment that you want to start putting advertising in, we identify what your monthly budget is that you're going to spend month over month. And then we sit down and we talk about your goals. So are we running buyer side campaigns? Are we targeting your competition? Are you running advertisements to a strategic audience in a farm territory because you want to go ahead and get in front of maybe 16 sides that sell inside of that neighborhood year over year over year? So there's a lot of things that we can do. So the answer is always yes. We can put your message directly on target, directly to your consumer, period. So the websites that we're going to be coming out with, guys, it's almost an absolute must to go ahead and have something like that set up so that you are very relevant in what we do. So, you know what, with that being said, I want to talk about something. I've got a couple agents that are very veteran centric, right? So, and I love talking to agents. I'm a veteran myself, Paul, as you know. So I've got one group that is getting ready to put together a campaign because they want to be known as like the USAA kind of veterans in their local area. I know I've got another agent that does a lot of stuff with Homes for Heroes, right? And let's talk about targeting interest groups such as veterans.
Well, first of all, let me say for all those people that have been in the military, been married to the military, connected to the military in some fashion, thank you for your service. It's not easy. I have worked in the VA loan space before, and there are some very worthwhile programs to get out to people. The challenge with anybody in that world is it's very, very difficult sometimes to understand and be aware of the benefits that are available to you. So sometimes advertising isn't always a mode of marketing, right? It's almost a mode of necessity that to get this information out to people so they know what they can actually take advantage of, because they don't always know this. I worked for a website a long time ago called military.com, and that was the whole purpose of that website, was to make sure people actually were knowledgeable about their benefits. We actually have a means through our addressable geofencing to actually target households of veterans so that they can actually go ahead and take advantage of and be targeted for this type of thing, so they are aware of this, because a family of veterans, people that are we believe are active duty. The other is through behavioral targeting is actually great for this, because you can actually target things that are specific to that military family. You mentioned USAA. What a great keyword.
Yeah.
I would put that on all of them. One of the best insurance companies out there. I have them. I know many people do. I mean, it's a great company, but there are also other businesses that are veteran centric, also organizations that are veteran centric. There are ways to find these veterans. You can also find them by also looking at things that they may be leveraging, like the benefit to use for education, right? You can leverage VA centers. There are many different things that you can actually target behaviorally to do that. Geofencing is a great way to do that. But behavioral targeting sometimes in this for this set of customers sometimes is a way to actually get them through subtle means, because again, they may not know their benefit. You know, wouldn't it be cool to have somebody that thought that there was never ever a chance for them to own a house simply because they didn't know that they had a benefit to them as a veteran, and then all of a sudden they see an ad and it opens up the door and now they can go get a house? You know, that's where I think that in a way, it's not really marketing to these people. It's purely just getting out the information that they need to know, right? Yeah. So, these programs are great. Like I said, we do have a means to target them through addressable at the household level. We have, but that would be somebody that's already in a house, right? And off of the credit bureau data. That's why I say that sometimes the behavioral data is actually really strong.
Yeah. I like that you just said informational, because guys, you hear me talk about this all the time, to where we're not going to go ahead and be pitchy. We're going to identify our audiences, and then we're going to create nice introductions. We don't mean to be intrusive, even with some of our core communication. But when we talk about our follow-up game with brand awareness, weekly videos, advertising, everybody has been getting pitched for years and years and years and years and years. And just having the old standard, I'm a real estate agent, call me kind of thing. What we do is we always think to go ahead and be a brand ambassador and an educator to your constituents in your local community, so that you're getting out in front of information. And it's the same kind of thing, like some of the scripts that I go ahead and send you guys through. It's the same thing that Gene does on the social media side. He's putting together quality information that's real estate centric, and it has your brand in front of it. So it gives you an informational kind of a feeling. When you guys are shooting videos and you're talking about stuff, it's not straight pitching business. It's more, you're an informational ambassador. And if you can get your audience into a mindset when it comes to advertising that you are a knowledge broker on that topic, now all of a sudden you find yourself into a position of power. It's the same kind of teacher and his or her class, right, of children. So that's the authority figure in the room. That's the knowledge broker. Those are the students. So when these people end up coming into your audience, think of your audience as your students in essence. And now we give you the vehicle and the opportunity to expand your whole audience set, strategically target these folks, and then be informational about it. There's a lot of stuff that you guys have in your toolbox that you go to school every single year. You have to go ahead and do follow-up education. They're teaching you new things. There's new laws. There's new stuff that's coming out. And that's the kind of stuff that you put yourself in front of, educate your audience. So
yeah, one thing that I might ask or recommend for those people, because you keep talking about farms, which is great. It means that they have a geographical area that they control, and they work, and they become knowledgeable, intimate with it. It's their neighbors, it's their friends, it's people that they go to school with, that kind of thing. Is to start recognizing the things in your neighborhood. Start taking inventory of what's around you. Like what schools are, we're talking realtors here, so obviously they know all the schools because they have to they have to communicate that one to the buyers and sellers, or to the buyers. But make note of these things. Make note of the big businesses. Make note of the things that are in the life of the people that are in your area. Because if you're marketing to those people and you can leverage that information, both behaviorally, but also in your creative. Like if in the creative, if you're farming to someplace and you have a home that's for sale, well, if you could actually do a version of creative that talks about the benefits of having a wonderful school system in your area, or a wonderful employer in your area, that's what you can do with digital. Because the great thing about digital is that we have the flexibility of creative adaptation, through the ads, and make your farm yours. Understand your farm, leverage the information that's in your farm and use that in campaigns.
Yeah. Yep. Greg McDaniel did a really good one. Yeah, I know. We started talking about this, and I say it all the time. I absolutely love that man. Greg McDaniel is fantastic people, but he expands his mindset and gets creative with different angles of attack. He went down, Paul, I don't know if you saw some of the advertisements or not, but he was working with this guy, Drew, from a pizza place in the local area. Right. And they shot a video. It was really nice. He said, hey, I'm Greg McDaniel here with eXp Realty, and today I'm with Drew, the owner of this pizza joint, and we just wanted to reach out to all of our community and say hello. I hope you guys have all been staying safe. Drew, why don't you tell everybody about your offering that you have? So the merchant went ahead and put together a nice buy one, get one kind of pizza, outdoor seating, saying hello. And they ran this Feed Your Neighbor campaign because they knew that some people are struggling. So guess what? If I buy a pizza, I can go ahead and feed the other pizza to my neighbor or somebody that is actually in need. And
right.
It went off fantastic. But
you can leverage it for referral incentive programs. If the agent wants to do something like, hey, refer me to a friend and I'll give you a gift certificate for a dinner someplace, right? There's a lot of different things that you can do that would kind of motivate that person in your market. Carpet cleaning, move services, whatever it may be that's relevant. Those things are those are good motivators, right?
Sure.
Incentives. Yeah.
Sure. So here's another thing, guys, I want to talk about. So when we talk about geofencing, there's many different things we can do. Let's say, and geofencing has been used like this for years with large corporations. So let's say that we lay a geofence around our competitor, and let's just spitball here a little bit, Paul. If there's two competing businesses in town, I can go ahead and lay a geofence around my competition's actual restaurant, let's say. Now, all devices that are going into that fence at my competitor's restaurant are getting picked up. Yep. And then I can actually serve all of those customers my advertisement to go ahead and tell them about my special buy one free or buy one, get one free offering over here and start running advertisements towards those people. But we can actually then attribute by way of knowing the unique device IDs that we're serving from one area, and that when they actually walk into a fence, and especially if we understand our campaign. So talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's clever. Yeah, so you could actually easily do something where you have a addressable geofencing campaign where you have all your people in your database that we're targeting, and then I'm taking your competitive conquesting a little bit different angle here. So yep. Bear with me. So you have these addresses that you're geofencing. It's the same type of technology as you're doing with the restaurant, but you have all these addresses. Then you actually have an open house, or you have a house for sale. Mm-hmm. And what you can do is you can put what's called a conversion zone around that house, and you could actually track of the people that you delivered your campaign to, how many people came to your location that we had the conversion zone on.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing to do. It's great analytics. I wouldn't have your entire campaign success make it or break it riding on that, right? Because you want to do many different things, right? But it is a great signal that shows that I can actually track people, whether I deliver them in a geofence, whether it be addressable or whether it be at your competitor's location, and did they come into this conversion zone? And I think that's really key. I mean, it's a good trackable aspect.
Yep. So with this being said, there's another thing that I want to talk to you guys about. Sometimes there's events that are happening inside of your area. Perfect example, the annual home show. Okay. So let's say there's a small little convention center or place that is holding an event, the home show, and here's all these homeowners going into the actual home show. We can go ahead and lay a geofence around the actual home show itself. All unique device IDs that are going inside of it now become our audience. Now we can go ahead and serve all of those people your advertisements that are centric towards going to the home show and things along those lines. That's another thing that I wanted you guys to think about. In addition, let's talk about if we lay a fence. Our technology is so smart that how far back does it go? Isn't it 6 months?
30 days. 30 days.
Okay, yeah. 30 days. So if you lay a new fence, we can track back 30 days.
Yeah.
Basically all devices.
Yeah.
So in essence, guys, what we're saying is that the network is always watching. Mm-hmm. So we can go ahead and then identify these different things and move folks around. Very cool.
The only reason we actually have, if I may, the only reason why we have the ability to do that is because we are leveraging a platform that, again, supports the large corporations out there and has really strong capabilities. And they have an amazing data lake that allows us to store this data on an ongoing basis. So that, I mean, this is not a small solution here that we're offering it to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the largest. So, and that's what's nice. So we can go ahead and thank we can thank people like Jeff Bezos at Amazon and all the rest of these different people that are serving big time money into the network and trying to identify different profiles on us for their core competency, but we can tap in and kind of piggyback on some of this stuff as far as tracking back to go ahead and obtain more of an audience. So, all right. So I want to talk about something else here before we wrap up at the end of the hour. Guys, we're building on our intelligence platform the ability to also manage not only all of your geofencing in one place, but your Facebook paid advertisement too on the Klever platform here through our network. So the nice thing is this. You guys have heard me talk about how Mark Zuckerberg got interrogated by the House and Senate Judiciary Committee. A lot of the targeting options from Facebook have dropped off the back end. It's become less irrelevant, or it's been more difficult for people to go ahead and advertise. Now, we create custom audiences, and those custom audiences are based upon your pixel capability or audiences that you might currently have that we can then load up into the network. Now, with that being said, we are moving into a position that's going to be a couple more months, Paul, and then the backdoor integrations into Facebook are going to be finalized.
Should be. Yeah.
So with that being said, guys, we can go ahead and generate custom audiences inside of the network through our intelligence management system, and then seed that into the back end of Facebook and then deploy advertising for you there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But what we can do right now is we can manage Facebook campaigns for the KlevrLeads people.
Yeah.
No problem there, right? So I don't want that. I don't want to think that they have to wait 2 months to be involved in Facebook. They can get going right away. Yeah,
sure. Understood. But what we're talking about is leveraging advanced networks, intelligence, and communication to build seed audiences that then get placed into Facebook, because you just can't get as specific as you once had the opportunity to through Facebook.
Understood.
So the Klever Agent team will be the most powerful real estate agent in your marketplace by deploying and leveraging our team, our intelligence, our communication, our advertising capabilities, our core websites, our core communication. So these are the kinds of things that we're going to consistently bring to you guys so you can really spread your awareness as far as you've got a team like us here. You have these capabilities available to yourselves, and all you have to do is continue to take massive action and expand your horizon as far as your thought process and ability to target. So
that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, Paul, I really appreciate you coming and spending some time here with us and the team. And guys, if ever we get into a situation where you're doing some custom, really advanced custom type stuff, we can go ahead and bring Paul to have some, type of correspondence, because I know some of you guys are doing some creative things. But as you heard from Paul, and as you continually hear from us at the Klever family, the answer probably most of the time always will be yes, we can do that. So, and if we can't, the wizard is actually working behind the scenes over there, making sure that we can in a more effective way as well.
Yeah, I think the bottom line there is we're always listening. If there's a solution that you all want, that you guys think of, that can make the product better for everybody else, we will make note and we will pass it down the channel and see what we can do.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, as always, stay blessed and unstoppable. Have a charged up, unstoppable day. And if you need us for anything, you know how to get a hold of us. And until next time, guys, a little quick preview for tomorrow's event. I've got Mr. Todd Ashton coming in. He was the coach's coach for Robert Kiyosaki and a lot of the other large real estate investment groups. He literally wrote the book on tax lien investments. He runs Tax Lien Alliance, so we're really excited to go and talk to him to kind of get a point of view and an angle from a real estate investor side. So anyways, that'll be tomorrow, same time as what we started today. And but anyways, Paul, thank you again. Everybody have a blessed and unstoppable day.
Thank you for having me. Take care, everybody.